Well, hey there. You've stumbled upon the intersection of internet quandaries and psychological insight. Welcome to Veritas Views on AITA, where the quirks of the internet meet the expertise of Veritas Psychology Partners.
Hi there, host and producer of Veritas Views, Am I the Asshole Edition, Michael McBride here. Quick video appearance, just to say that I just finished editing this episode and realized that in season 1 we had an episode that was similar but from the other perspective. So in this one, the person giving the gift is the person posting about it. And it so happens season 1, episode 36, we had one where the person was receiving a gift, and kind of interesting bookends. So we'll link that in the show notes. So you could listen to that one as well and kind of get both perspectives of the conversation. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Michael McBride. I'm joined by our dynamic duo of psychologists.
Hi, I'm Dr. Gayle MacBride, and this Sunday, as many Sundays, I am joined by my business partner and my friend and all-around wonderful colleague, Dr. Daniel Kessler.
Thanks so much, Gayle, for that really kind introduction. What a great opportunity this is to poke through psychology and deal with these sometimes really unusual conundrums and conundrums. Mm-hmm. Michael, you got something for us.
Well, before he does, I want to just say, you know you're in the right profession when you want to spend your time on the weekend talking about things that relate to your job, and that this is a highlight for us. So we must be doing the job we were meant to do, because boy, we spend a lot of time in our free time thinking about this.
Doing this.
Michael, as Dan said, do you have a scenario for us?
Yeah, I do. As always. Thanks for joining me. It's always fun to do this with you guys on Sundays. So, well, for any of the newbies out there, and if you don't know what Am I the Asshole is, in short, someone's posted a scenario online, given all the facts as they see it, and then asked who's the asshole here, and that's what Gayle and Dan are gonna weigh in on. So,
I love that caveat: the facts as they see it,
as they see them, right?
It is a very biased take on it. I don't think it can help me, but. So what if there have been
wouldn't it be interesting if people co-wrote this? Here is our shared memory and reconstruction of what happened. Who's the asshole?
Yeah.
I'm imagining a scenario where somebody has written it and then there's like comments off to the side. She says this, but really this is my perspective. And then, he said that, but here's what I thought. And so then you could literally get both versions.
Yeah, because you wouldn't be able to write just one version, because that's not how these ever go down. It's just in one way. The truth is sort of subjective as we experience it.
Yeah. And if you're new and you like this, stick around through the end, because we always have a bonuser conversation afterwards.
Bonuser. Thank you.
But in truth, Gayle or Dan really don't know what I'm going to throw at them, which is the way I like it. And so let's go. Today's prompt is, it's kind of a weird one, and I left the prompt as is because I don't know. Anyway, but the post is, am I the asshole because my girlfriend doesn't like my knitting?
Okay, we need more.
Well, and yeah.
Yeah, continue.
Okay, so we have a same-sex relationship here, and the poster says, I've recently developed a strong passion for knitting, and I'm excited to share this with people I care about. Naturally, I thought about making something for my girlfriend. She's always been very clear that she doesn't like receiving gifts. She says it makes her feel weird, but I figured a handmade item would be different. I've seen how much joy other knitters experience when they make gifts for their loved ones, and I wanted to feel that too. I asked her multiple times if I could make her something, but she kept saying no. Last night I brought it up again, and when she refused, I tried to explain how much it hurt my feelings. Through tears, I told her how much it would mean to me, but even after saying she'd think about it, she later told me no again. I didn't push further, but I woke up feeling crushed and wondering if I was overreacting. For context, and she adds this little piece here, we're both in college. She lives on campus, and I currently live at home and commute, and this is an online relationship. I understand that she doesn't like gifts and that she needed she needs to provide measurements and an address for me to send something to her, which might make her feel uncomfortable. But I wanted to make her something she'd actually use and appreciate. And it's not about the effort or money for me. I feel like her refusing my gift is a rejection of me, and I'm struggling to understand why she doesn't want something handmade that comes from my heart. Am I overreacting? Am I the asshole here?
Oh, wow. So I see
Oh,
two big things here. Some unrealistic expectations and an internalization of a no as opposed to a
yeah.
no to an offer. So those are the two immediate things I think we need to unpack, Dan. What have I missed?
I don't think you're missing anything. I think so often the OP of the week
Mhm.
original poster has asked the wrong question,
Mhm.
and this is that situation. Because really the question is it reasonable for me to be deeply and powerfully hurt by my girlfriend's declining of my gift? Is probably the better question. Or am I overreacting to my girlfriend's declining of the gift? Because really that's the question here. Um, and I like the way you put it. This is about internalizing, personalizing. Is that how you put it?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, this rejection as being about me instead of about, oh God. So like there's that classic, it's not you, it's me.
Well,
And in
it's
this
not.
case, it's not.
It's not. It's not the OP. It's the gift. But OP is taking it as a rejection of
Her.
her as opposed to a rejection of the gift, the object.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important when we get a no, is to be really thoughtful about what's being rejected, because so often we conflate the two. And in the mind of the person receiving the offer, they're just declining the offer. Can I make you a gift? Can I give you a gift? No.
No, I'd
Okay,
rather
it's
you
not that
didn't.
you don't like me, it's that you don't want the item that
Yeah.
I'm offering.
I think she and I can't call her an asshole for this, but it
The
is
girlfriend or
the
the
girl
OP?
either one,
Mhm.
but I talk about OP in this case.
Okay.
Because I think she's making that, as you said, that sort of classic error of like conflating the gift that I want to get with something personal about me.
Yes.
Her girlfriend, for whatever reason, doesn't like receiving gifts. Now we can decide whether or not that's healthy or not healthy, or we don't know what underlies that.
Yeah, no, so beyond the
We have
scope
no
of our
clue, and it's really
ability
beyond
here.
the scope of our discussion. But regardless, what she said is like she doesn't like getting gifts. She
Mhm.
didn't say she doesn't want to get a gift from me, or she loves getting gifts, but when I want to give her a gift, she doesn't want to, it's not this is for whatever reason, she's got a thing about gift getting that she doesn't want to get.
Mhm.
It's kind of an issue of consent in some ways.
I think it's very much an issue of consent. So, yeah, I mean, that's maybe not a very deep and hard part of the conversation, which
No.
is, if someone tells you no, they just get to say no, and they don't need a really good reason for it. They just need to say no. And while it may hurt our feelings and we're allowed to have hurt feelings about it, the no is a no.
Yeah. And I would hope that the girlfriend could get to a place of, I don't want a gift, but you want to give something of yourself to me. This would make me really happy.
Hmm.
Like I would want to find out what it is. Like, is there something that she needs, wants, etc. Like sometimes the best gifts aren't really gifts. They're gifts of our time or gifts of our energy or um, the opportunity to be together or not be or whatever, that
Hmm.
sometimes those are more potent and powerful gifts than a thing that we buy or even a thing that we make.
Hmm.
And for whatever reason, this isn't a gift or she doesn't want the gift. And
And I sort of feel like this maybe is a newer relationship, and it has an additional challenge of distance.
yeah.
And so, we don't really know if they've spent some time really understanding each other and
Mhm.
creating that
Mhm.
backstory or love map, as the Gottmans would say, and
Mhm.
understanding the origin of not feeling comfortable receiving gifts. And again, she doesn't need to justify it, but ideally, if this relationship is going to work well long term, understanding that would go a long way to I think, mitigating future conflict between these two.
And if we think about this, we've talked about this idea of like disappointing our partner.
Mhm.
It may be that OP doesn't know why her girlfriend doesn't want to receive
I
gifts.
don't think she
And it
does.
and it may be that, you know, 20 years and a marriage and two kids later, between the two of them, she still doesn't know why the her now wife doesn't want to receive gifts
Mhm.
and has had to just kind of go along with that. And that because and I'm sure it will be a disappointment to like while gift giving holidays scare me as a partner. Um, at the same time, like like many people, I get great joy out of giving a gift, and I wouldn't want to be deprived of that joy of giving my wife a gift. At the
Mhm.
same time, like if she just didn't like it, and I may not ever know why, like
Mhm. Could you imagine a really great couples therapy session with the two of them exploring what
yeah,
it's like to give and to receive gifts and to
yeah,
really just explore it, not judge it? I think that'd be really, really
I
interesting and maybe
think it'd
really
be
healing.
fascinating couples visit to be able
Yeah.
to explore from a very non-judgmental perspective. You really love giving gifts and are hurt by not being able to give me a gift.
Mhm.
You really love gifts. You really don't want to get gifts and are feeling hurt by me pushing you to accept a gift. Like I love the idea of helping this couple
Yeah.
navigate this challenge because it's going to, harkening back to last week's episode, assuming we do them in order, and Michael, I think doesn't release them in order, but like the one we already recorded recently, we talked about this idea of, or you talked about this idea, Gail, of developing a template.
Yeah.
And here, this couple needs a template for resolving this thing that is not right or wrong, but is a difference.
Almost
And
like we're
this
two
is,
different people.
yes, yes. But this is
Mhm.
what happens so often. We are confronted with something about our partner that is uncomfortable to us, doesn't work for us, but isn't a right or wrong. It's a difference. And now they need a
So,
template for navigating it.
and we would say that OP is stuck in this assumption of similarity, where her girlfriend is expected to, and this is a bias that we have, we all do, and we all
Yeah.
fall into it. So it's a pretty natural, normal bias to have. But that my
Mhm.
girlfriend's like me. Why? Because I care about her deeply, and people like me must think like me, and that's just a fallacy, and we get stuck in that. I also think it brings me to the second point. I love the concept that Brene Brown calls stealth expectations. It's these expectations
You
that are
say
up at
stealth,
stealth.
stealth
Yeah,
expectations.
stealth,
Okay.
like a stealth plane. Like you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know
yeah,
they're
yeah.
there until they bomb something that you've had high hopes into rubble, I believe is the quote from her Rising Strong book. And you don't know they're there.
I
They're
love that.
not explicit. They're not expressed.
Mm,
Sometimes we just don't even realize we're holding that expectation. And we get really hurt and disappointed, and we go, oh shit, there was an expectation there. I had no idea until it was violated or hurt in some way. And so, we hold this expectation that everybody loves to receive gifts and they're going to be so impressed because it's handmade, right? That's really
right.
special. And we have this reference for it. And I don't think that assumption is wrong or that expectation is wrong. However,
But it's
we
wrong for
can
this couple
it's wrong for this couple, and it's wrong for this
or for girlfriend,
individual,
for this
right,
individual.
in particular. And so being able to kind of walk back and say, wow, I realized that without even knowing it, I held this as an expectation. And this is why I'm so hurt, is because this scenario didn't play out the way I expected. Doesn't
Right,
mean that it has to, but I can acknowledge my hurt, which is why
right,
she's not an asshole for feeling hurt about it. But now her job is to realize she was holding what is now understood to be an unrealistic expectation. Not everybody wants to receive a gift for whatever reason. And she kept hoping that her girlfriend would change her mind if she could build a good enough argument for it, right? And so what we need to do is help her understand that she can own her feelings. She's allowed to be hurt by it, but making her expectations more explicit will help her. Now,
mhm,
unfortunately, sometimes my clients hear this as lowering your expectations, which I'm not a big fan. I don't want people to lower their expectations. This is about expecting that, I don't know, Aunt Pam shows up as Aunt Pam. Why? Because that's Aunt Pam. Why would you
right,
expect Aunt Pam
right,
to be someone different? Right?
right.
Let's check this. Let's keep it in line with the reality and the data that we have. And when the data change, we can modify.
And without oversimplifying this, I really like talking to couples about how absolutely atrocious the golden rule is as a way of navigating a romantic or love relationship.
Yeah.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you sounds really terrific until it happens in a couple. And one part of the couple really loves this thing and the other one really doesn't love this thing. And then you keep doing the thing that you love that your partner doesn't love. And we see this all the time in relationships. I want nothing more. You know, when we're in the middle, when the fight is over, I want a big hug from my partner. When the fight is over, I want to be on my own and be in a different room and decompress and then come back. And so the one who really wants a big hug gives a really big hug to the one who just wants to be left the fuck alone.
Right.
And the one who wants to be left the fuck alone walks away from the person who really wants the hug.
Yeah.
And both are right.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just, so the golden rule is an absolute failure in that situation. And so we end up teaching or talking to our clients about like, do unto others as they want done unto them, which is a little more complicated and a little harder to get to, but so
Because
much more
now
important in a relationship.
in your scenario, have a big fight and one person's not a hugger, just needs some time to decompress. How do you navigate that then? How do you do unto your partner the way they want it done unto them and hold your own need for maybe some space?
I think each person does what their partner would want. So the person who doesn't want the hug in that moment goes over and gives their partner a hug. It's what their partner needs.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that hug is over, okay, I know you need to be left alone, so I'm gonna leave you alone. So like to acknowledge that like this is what you need, so I'm doing this. And
Yeah.
now I'm gonna do what I need. I think
Yeah.
it's fine. Like I know that like I need a hug, but I know you need to be left alone, so I'm gonna go in the other room. And I think that sometimes when we do those things for our partner, it feels less like I'm doing this because I know that my partner wants a hug. And it's not what I want, but I know that I'm leaving them alone because I know that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And
It sets
sometimes
up a
framing it
giver
that
and
way.
receiver
Yeah,
scenario, which I think is really important to be attuned as a giver,
right,
attuned as a receiver,
right.
and show
What does
gratitude to our partner and how they show up.
Yeah.
Express that
So
gratitude.
so in the moment, I may want to be left alone, but I know that this is what my partner needs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give this to them. It doesn't feel onerous then, or it shouldn't feel onerous then, as opposed to like, oh, now they're coming over and giving me a hug when I don't want a hug. So it's me choosing to do this thing for
Mm-hmm.
my partner because it's what's meaningful to them.
And I think also setting aside you're only hugging me because I told you I wanted a hug after the fight and getting that resentment.
Could
Yes,
be it.
actually, that's
But
exactly
yes,
what it is. You told me
but what
this.
a loving
I care
thing to
about you.
do. Yeah,
Right.
you're
This
only
is a
doing this
gift.
because you're only doing this because you know I want. Yes, I
Mhm.
am.
Right.
But it's what's meaningful to you. So
Sure.
yes, I'm doing this thing that is meaningful to you that I'm not necessarily connected with, but I
Mhm.
know it's important to you and I love you.
Yeah.
I think that can be a wonderful thing. I talk about this a lot with couples that sometimes like you're it's not giving in to care for someone in the way that they want to be cared for, even if it's not your way. And hopefully if both people are doing that, everyone feels like they win.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you said. It's not giving in.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not
like,
giving.
yeah,
It's just giving.
this is what works for you. Exactly.
Mhm.
And if we're giving to our partner, they're likely to give back to us, hopefully, if it's a good relationship. And then everyone feels like they win.
Mhm.
I got left
Mhm.
alone after I gave them the hug they need.
Right.
I got the hug I needed and then I left them alone because that's what they need. Like
Yeah.
I got both people get what they want in that situation
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
they've given their partner what their partner wants. So they get what they want.
Can I add one more wrinkle to this? Which
Oh,
No,
just
please.
because
no, you don't
this
screw it
was
up. You handled this perfectly. Yes, please, Michael. Give us
I
more.
love everything you're saying there, and this was just a conversation online that kind of expanded. That was interesting. So, like she mentions in there that this is an online relationship, and so a number of the internet people ask, like, what does that mean? Like, have you ever met or whatever? And so part of it was they haven't ever met in person, and so one of the questions was maybe the gift giving thing is about not wanting to disclose an address, that that there's that piece because then
Mm,
you know where I live and whether or not there's trust there. And the
mm,
OP weighed in on that, going like, yeah, I feel like she doesn't trust me to give me that address in addition to this gift thing. or maybe the comment to the gift is really disguised. Like it's not about the gift, it's about the address. And they haven't met in person. It sounds like it's mostly email communication and chats and Discord. So voice, but not video necessarily. So I don't know if any of that changes your mind, but I wanted to make sure to point that out.
I would say, as you read the scenario initially, I heard those things in my head as, potential factors. For me, I don't think it changes my mind, even if this is not about how we would about our discussion. I think those are interesting additional discussion points potentially. But I do believe that the girlfriend has the right to say, I don't want this gift for any reason, whether
Or
she
no
doesn't
reason
want
at all.
gifts or no reason at all, whether she doesn't want gifts, whether she doesn't want to disclose her address, whatever that is, she's allowed to say no.
Yeah.
And the OP is allowed to be hurt by that. Now,
Yeah.
it does suggest that there are some ongoing issues with this relationship around maybe fully feeling trusted or trustworthy or whatever that is, because there are some doubts about why this person might not want to give away their address, or maybe even some additional hurt feelings about not having the opportunity to see one another in video. There are concerns here, but it doesn't change my discussion, I don't think, of this particular issue
No,
as defined.
I agree with you. It does change my perspective. It does raise a lot of questions around what is this relationship? Do they see the relationship in the same way? Is one of them more connected or invested than the other? Is there something going on here that like someone's not being honest about, or like there's a whole lot of that I would want to set all that aside because it's pure speculation on our parts.
Right.
And I think our assessment of it, I'm happy to stick with our assessment.
Yeah.
And I think that in the end, like no one's an asshole here. And at the same time, OP, this is my opinion, but you may have it. At the same time, OP is personalizing something that really isn't about her. It sounds
Yeah.
that at least in our understanding of the situation, this is about girlfriend's feelings about something and being hurt by it. Like that's something to work on.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to call you an asshole for being hurt by it.
Yeah, as the post stands, with the data that we have, I would say no assholes here.
Yeah.
I think the OP, it would be wise to understand that no sometimes is a rejection of the offer and not of the individual. That sounds like a good kind of maybe coping mantra to insert in their toolbox. And I think the internet potentially can get into some dangerous waters trying to bring in some additional information that may or may not exist about this relationship, because that's the kind of sexy hot topic of all of this, but it's outside the scope of the question.
Right.
And we do know that some internet relationships are fraught with problems, and were those to come to light, perhaps my decision or ruling would be different
Yeah.
based on that information. But we don't have that information, and while very tempting and scintillating to maybe go down that road, we're not unless the
now
poster has amended the comments. Like I don't think we have that, and shouldn't be a part of this conversation.
Now, if OP gets super pushy. And like, no, you have to give me your address. You have to tell me where you have to send me your information. Like I'm giving you a gift no matter what. Then she has the opportunity to become an asshole.
Absolutely.
But as stated here, she needs to work on the feelings of hurt and rejection, and no one's an asshole. Michael, what'd the internet say?
Yeah, so it kind of, I mean, there are four basic kinds of comments that were made. The predominant one was you need to respect boundaries, that no is no, stop pushing and disregarding her boundaries and autonomy. Like people have the right to say no. Another one came up about relationship red flags. That maybe that reluctance is based on something else. Be careful of catfishing and that kind of thing, maybe. Although
I'm okay with that.
Really,
I wouldn't necessarily call it a red flag, but it's certainly something I would maybe yellow flag to pay attention to.
Yeah. My favorite one were people that were saying like, focus on healthy outlets for your knitting. Give them the family or friends or charities. There are lots of charities that would benefit from, warm things that you could knit, and that would perhaps give you that kind of
I like it.
boost from, giving something that you made to somebody who would benefit from it. And then lastly, they also kind of said, like, you probably need to seek some therapy to kind of talk about your emotions and self-esteem, and, making sure that your self-esteem isn't entirely wrapped up in gift giving. So,
Mm.
but
And I love an opportunity for the girlfriend to say to OP, I really appreciate the thoughtfulness, and that thoughtfulness is a wonderful gift. And I choose to receive that as the gift and not whatever it is that you need to knit. But I love that you thought of me for that. Thank you. And that would be, I think a nice response.
Yeah. Yeah.
in terms of the internet's actual ruling, like, those were
Mhm.
high level thoughts that kind of floated around the comments that I enjoyed. The actual ruling was pretty unanimously, you're the asshole. Stop pushing. Stop
Mhm.
trying to get them to accept something that they want. No means no, so on. A few people said everybody sucks here. Your girlfriend's reaction is harsh, and you just pushing makes it worse. You both need to kind of soften your approach and stop that. And then 4 people said that you're not the asshole. I crochet and 100% understand wanting to make something for someone you love. It's a form of appreciation. She needs to accept that, which I'm like, I don't think that's.
No, 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 no. I also disagree that she's an asshole. I think we could talk to she would wander into that territory. But as
Mhm.
stated, she's really talking about hurt feelings, not forcing something. So
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for a whole nother wonderful conversation. I always love chatting these through and hearing what you come up with, and push measuring you up against the internet and see what different people pick up on, I guess. So, and remember, everyone, morality is often shades of gray and not just black or white.
Oh, and to my knitters and crocheters out there, find great outlets for your handiwork. It will be deeply appreciated by somebody, but not everybody.
but not everybody, right?
Yeah. Please follow and share Veritas Views, any of the podcast platforms with your neighbors and friends, and I suppose also online relationships. And as always, stick around through the credits for whatever the bonus conversation is going to be about.
You can follow Dr. Dan Kessler at Dr. Dan Kessler and Dr. Gayle MacBride at Dr. G. MacBride. Oh, and you can find them both at veritaspp.com. Credits. Tickling the Ivories, Matthew Reddington. Art, production, and design, bringing this show together with flair and finesse, Michelle Love. Recording and editing, turning chaos into something worth sharing, Michael MacBride. Intro, outro, I'm Kelly Buttrick, a VO talent who just happens to be Dr. MacBride's cousin. Cats, CJ, Linus, Sadie, and Griffin. Hosting by whomever lost the coin flip. Interruptions by all their children. The content of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Listening to this podcast does not constitute a therapist-client relationship. If you believe you may be experiencing a mental health issue, please seek the assistance of a qualified mental health professional. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, you can call or text 988 from anywhere in the U.S. to be connected to Crisis Mental Health Services.
Thanks for listening. As promised, here's that bonus conversation.
Wow, Dan. Okay, so I was curious if you could tell us a little bit about a topic that has kind of piqued your interest lately. We do trainings and we try to stay, current to literature, and sometimes we're introduced to an entirely new idea. And I was wondering,
Yeah.
what's got you really excited clinically these days?
There was a recent training I went to, and the concept isn't necessarily new, but the labeling of it is, and really caused me to dive deep into it. And the concept is one of moral injury. And a moral injury is defined as when we have done something that is inconsistent with our moral ethical beliefs, and we're deeply troubled by it. And I work a lot with folks who have, are they're post affair, or they have engaged in behaviors that they look back on and they're like, I was out of line. Like, this is not who I think of myself as.
Mhm.
And we don't talk a lot about this idea of moral injury and how painful it is. Like, it's painful to have something like when a partner is out of line and they betray you in some way. That's really painful. It's
Mhm.
also often painful for the partner who has done something that is just so inconsistent with their belief system. Like, how did I do this thing? Like, this is not who I think of myself as. And you don't get to like point a finger and blame and like you have to sit with that pain and discomfort. And,
Mhm.
and that putting a name on this thing is super interesting to me, because so many people struggle with this idea of, I can't believe that I allowed this to happen, that I caused this to happen, that I did this thing.
Mhm.
And like, now I have to figure out how to experience that pain and not run away from it and not blame
Mhm.
it on anyone else, but also not let it overwhelm me and take over my life. It's fascinating work. And I've been doing it for a while without a label. And I
Interesting.
and I
Does
really
this
like the label.
does this include having done something maybe earlier in your life that now maybe
Oh
the
yeah.
adult version of you has realized, oh, wait, that's not
Oh, for
okay.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Um, we look back on stuff and like, oh, I did this, I did in a teenager, or, a parent's often like, I can't believe I acted this way towards my kid. Like, I can't
Mhm.
believe I screamed at them over this thing. Like, what a, and we see parents who come in and just feel absolutely terrible about having yelled
Done
at the kid too
something.
much, or
Mhm.
and like the temptation is to be like, yeah, yeah, it's fine, it's not that, but sometimes people just do need to sit with that pain,
Yeah.
experience it, and not pile on it, not but at the same time, not just like, oh, it's okay, but to really like experience that
Yeah.
discomfort.
Well, and you and I talk about emotions having sort of a biological origin.
Hmm.
And so perhaps that opportunity that we afford our clients to sit with difficulty or difficult emotions allows them to internalize that a bit more and maybe make different choices in the future. Do you think?
Right. Right. Yeah. We
Yeah.
don't want to, I mean, we don't want to just sweep it up. We don't want to like say, oh, it's okay. But we also don't want to
Right.
say, let's wallow in it. Like,
Right. No.
sitting with it isn't the same thing as like diving into it, wallowing in, and experience this sort of intense ongoing pain. There's this place of like recognizing, acknowledging,
Hmm.
explaining, understanding, and coming to a place of relative peace about this, while also using it as, how do I never do this again? How do I avoid doing this kind of harm in the future without excusing it, or getting stuck? And
Well,
we've seen people who get
yeah.
stuck.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, for lots of different reasons. And so I like having the name to it. This is really cool. I look forward to talking with you more about moral injury and its impacts on our clients.
Yeah, thank you both very much. And thanks everyone for tuning in. Tune in again next week for a whole nother Am I the Asshole debate.
We love hearing from you, so please review us on Apple, Spotify, or, well, wherever you're listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please review, like, and follow. Also, give it a share. This helps us reach more listeners.